Hey all. So today I'm going to be ranking every update in Sea of Thieves from the first update to the last update. These are mainly going to be the content updates. I'm not going to be doing any of the bug fixes or kind of basing my judgment off of whether these updates launched buggy or if certain, good cosmetics were during these updates. I'm mainly going to be looking at it from a content perspective, whether the updates added, generally good things to the game or whether or not it's, just kind of mediocre stuff. So to start, we'll have the game at launch. That'll be C tier, just because of that will be our palette. Having the three main factions, your Voyages with them. The only world event at the time was, the Skull Fort and the Kraken. So that's kind of like a base judgment. Basically, anything better than that will be BA and S. Anything worse than that will probably be, either on par or DE and F. But the first proper update to the Sea of Thieves was the Hungering Deep. That introduced the Megalodon to the game, and it also had the campaign where it introduced Merrick. I'll be putting the Hungering Deep at B tier. I think it's a pretty solid update. The next content update was Skeleton Thrones. They're still around to this day, but I don't think anyone does them. I think even when they were added, it was a very weird addition to the game, but I guess back then, like, anything was kind of met with open arms. Let's put that as an F. The next content update was the Gunpowder Skeletons. We still have combinations tied to them, but it introduced Skeleton Sword and Gunpowder. I mean, it wasn't a big update, but in terms of what is added, I'd say it's better than the Thrones. All keg skeletons are still prominent in forts, and being able to shoot them and kind of clear out a wave, pretty good addition. The next content update was the Sunken Curse, which was another build rate adventure. It added the mermaid statues and mermaid gems, which are still prominent to this day. I would probably stick that into the D tier as well. Now we come to our second major update to the game, Sails. This added the skinny ships that we see pretty much on every sail. They also added the Brigantine and the ability to form alliances. I think in terms of overall game mechanics, this update outperformed the Hungering Deep, and I'd say it's a solid A. I mean, it could even go up to an S, but we'll see. I'll probably move some stuff around. The next update was the Cursed Cruise, which added Cursed Cannibals to the game. Cursed Cannibals are pretty prominent in most encounters on PvP. It's a really kind of make or break tool mechanic. I would, in terms of overall change to the game, I would put them on a C tier. No, I'll probably bump up to a B. I think they really changed the way that the game was played and most PvP encounters. Our next update is the Forsaken Shores, which was another major update. It added Devil's Roar, it added rowboats, and it also added cargo runs. In terms of gameplay, like rowboats are a huge addition to the game. I would put it. I'll put it up in A tier, and obviously a whole new region to the map is a welcoming change. Next update was the Festival of the Damned. This was the Halloween update back in 2018. Added the flamer plate to the ferry so that when you die to certain things, you would get different coloured flames. So in terms of overall gameplay mechanics, it didn't really add much. Obviously, this was built onto further down the line, but I'd say as it was, I put it at an E. I mean, it was more interesting than the Thrones because you could actually decorate your ship with the lights. But yeah, I'd say I'd say it's like E. Next update is the Trader Spoils. It added the Fog, which was a new weather effect, Ancient Bowdust, and Mega Kicks. Further customization to your captain, wheels, and cannons, which is always a plus. Skeleton sloops now appear, and it also added the other variants of the Megalodon. So, all in all, it added quite a lot. Say B tier. I mean, if one Megalodon is on B, then I'd say all the others. And then the next 3 updates I've kind of embodied into one because they're all kind of the same premise with the mercenary voyages of the Rum Runner. Then you have the Reaper's Run of Wanderer's Refuge and the Reaper Run of Shipwreck Bay. I think these updates were pretty solid. Obviously a new voyage which kind of encouraged a lot of PvP as everyone will be around those islands. I'd put it into a D tier. It wasn't that special, but I remember I have like very fond memories of having a lot of PvP encounters around these voyages. And then the next update is the anniversary update, which added a ton. Obviously added Tall Tales, fishing, added the arena that's obviously now gone. Added meats, added new fruit. All in all, it was the biggest update to the game so far, and deserves its place as its first S tier. The next update is another build rate update, but these were kind of changed to be more of like a monthly occurrence at this point. So this is the Black Powder Sashes. Essentially being a couple voyages where you go across the map collecting kegs. It was a fun time. I recall playing, I think in this update was when I got Pirate Legend. I recall selling a Mega Keg to the Order of Souls, and that was my last push to 50. I don't think it was anything special. I put it around an E tier. Then the next update was the Dark Relics one. Now this one added the Voyage for Dark Relics, which had all those unique items, or unique loot to the game. And at the time, it added the Reaper chest, which was very sought after because everyone needed the balloons. Yeah, I recall this update being very PvP orientated, and I quite enjoyed this one. I'd put it around a C tier. Next update was the Smugglers Fortune. This update added the Black Market, Pirate Emporium. They had the Rag and Bone Crate Voyages and storage crates. Other than buying cosmetics, this update was pretty lackluster. It wasn't anything special. I remember at the time there was a money-making method that if you left the Rag and Bone Crates to go and expire, they'd sell for like 3.5 grand, and just so many people were making millions off of it. But other than that, it wasn't really a memorable update, so I'm going to put it in the E tier. Now, this update was a very big update in my opinion. Fort of Damned, where Old Boot Fort got changed into Fort of Damned. Maybe not at the time, but for like up until now, Fort of Damned's been a very PvP orientated world event, and for that, I think I'm gonna put it A tier. It was a really good update, in my opinion. It's something that the game needed. Next update was a major update. Seabound Soul added the Seabound Soul Tall Tale. Also added fire bombs and fire to the game. Added the water barrel, of course, to get rid of that fire. It added Privacy Dog cosmetics to the arena, which kind of gave arena a bit more of a breath of life, as at this point most people got Glorious Sea Dog. And it also added the ammo crates that you can find around. I think this update was a very solid update. I'd give it an A. Then we come into Christmas of 2019 with the Vessel Giving update. This update added the gifts that you find in forts now. You'd have to give them to people. It was a very weird time because everyone was very friendly. It also added the Maiden Voyage, which was a pretty good feature, kind of introducing people to Sea of Thieves. I'd give it a D tier. I don't think it was that memorable, in my opinion. Then we move on to the Legends of the Sea, which was the Umbra update that added all the immortalizations to the game. I like this update. It gave a lot of creators and kind of it gave a lot of community members their kind of spot in the Sea of Thieves, as now they have stories tied to them. Like, they were already in the game, but now you can go find them and learn about them. So I think this is just like a small quality of life. It's nothing like too grand, but it was a nice addition. Yeah, I'll give it a D. Cruise of Rage. This was the update that fucking made Molten Sands Fortress the only fort the only skeleton fort that could be activated during this time. And my god, it was one of the worst times because of like you would be in the raw 24/7, especially because of the new voyage that added the chest of rage where you had to go in and dig them up on Scorched Pass or something stupid like that. I really hated this void this update. So yeah, so that's an easy F. Next update was Heart of Fire. I mean, it was an alright Tortel. It wasn't too special. Like, this was the first time they kind of really honed in on that like multiple choice scenario Tortel, which was kind of unique to this one. It also added the change shots and blunder bombs to the game. 2 major PvP resources. I'd say Heartfire is like kind of down the line, C tier. Ships of Fortune was the next update, which added the Reaper's Bones and all the emissary flags to the game. I S tier. Like, you can't go. Oh, actually, this also added the Arena 2.0, and it also added player reviving. I'm not a fan of player reviving, and I wasn't a fan of Arena 2.0. However, Arena's not a thing anymore, and reviving that bring it down. I think as it stands, yeah, it was one of the major changes to Sea of Thieves. I think yeah, I'll put my own opinions aside. S tier. Then we have Lost Treasures, which was basically quality of life. What did it actually change? It added the armor on the Ferry of the Damned. It added Alliance. Oh, it added the purple Alliance tag, so you can really betray an Alliance. Apparently, mermaid recovery, rowboat storage fix, so you didn't have to keep sitting down. You can access. I mean, it's quality of life. I don't. I'd say D. I think anything that's quality of life is you know, it has a place because obviously it's trying to fix issues that were currently needing to be addressed at the time. Yeah, I'll probably move it down. These don't really need to be addressed. I think the armory, the Ferry of the Damned armory was a good addition. Changing the alliances, I guess, helps. I don't really alliance much, so I don't really need that. The rowboat storage was an issue. Quicker mermaids, I guess, would be good. And then it added other little things. And then we have the Haunted Shores update, which added Flameheart as a world event and new shanties. I mean, when the Flameheart event was out, it was really good to make gold. Gave so much loot, and it also gave the Wraith Balls, Phantom Balls and Fireball, Phantom Balls and Fire Phantom Balls. I'd say this is a yeah. I'd say it was a pretty solid update. No issues. Then we had the Ashen Winds update, which added the Ashen Winds world event. Again, can't complain, it's a world event. I give it an A. Next update was the Vaults of the Ancients, which added the Gold Hoarder Vaults to the game. No complaints. I don't think it was a very strong update, but I'd say, yeah, it builds on the core mechanics, so I'll give it a C. Fate of the Damned was the 2020 Halloween update. It didn't really do much. It added the Devil's Roar Vaults, which I think was the only kind of content update that it added. I think it was a very weak update. Give it a D. It builds on the vaults, but doesn't really deliver that much. Then we had the Festival Giving in 2020. That was crap. Yeah, I didn't really do much. Yeah, there was just nothing really added. You get your Gilded Voyage, but that's just time limited. Then we move on to seasons. In 2021, season 1 was the first of its kind. It added the Lost Shipments Voyages for the merchants. I quite liked it. I think it was a very bold choice for them to move into seasons, and I think they pulled it off in season 1. It was very. I think season 1 was the hardest of all the seasons to like level up in the Plunder Pass. I feel like every season it gets easier and easier to kind of move towards that more casual player base. I think this is a solid B. Season 2 added the barrel tuck and the Fort of Fortune, as well as commodities. I so when Fort of Fortune first came out, it was like the best thing, like the amount of PvP that it had. But these days, it's very lackluster, and no one really wants to do it. And it hasn't really had an update since. Yeah, I'll give it an A. Then we move on to Season 3, which is also the Pirate's Life update. I think this was a huge update for Sea of Thieves, getting that Disney collaboration. Obviously, a lot of people wanted it from the get-go, but they could never really deliver. But yeah, they did, and for that, yeah, S2. Literally can't complain, other than the bugs. But again, I'm not going to really sit down and be like, this update was bad because of X, Y, and Z bugs. I'm more so looking at the kind of like what it brought to the table. Season 4 was the shrines. Yeah, it added the shrines and the treasuries. It wasn't anything special at the time, as we already saw that stuff in Pirate's Life. Season 5 added the ability to bury treasure, it gave you quest boards, it gave you the cannon rowboat, fireworks, and sitting and sleeping. Other than the cannon rowboat, I don't think anyone's very thrilled with the other. Yeah. Season 5 is very weak. I'd give it a D. The only resounding feature that it had was the cannon rowboat, and even then, it's one of the rarer rowboats. We move on to Season 6. Season 6 added the sea forts, and it also added the Legends of the Veil mission. I think sea forts are a very good addition to the game. They give you like the ability to get quite a lot of resources. You can stock up a lot from those, and they're quick to do. I feel like what let this update down was not having the Legends of the Veil off the bat, but I mean, they delivered halfway through, and then they also had the Shrouded Ghost adventure in this one. I don't know whether to give it. I think A. I don't think it's worthy of an S. It wasn't very. Yeah, I think it's quite a solid update, but it's not S tier. And then Season 7, which is our current update. It added obviously milestones, naming your ship, added the logbook, added the ability to customize your interior and save your cosmetics, which doesn't work, but again, not looking at the bugs. So for me, this update is a very much this should have been in the game since day one update. The only content, like proper content, that was added to the game was the ability to pick up and put down stools, and the adventure, and the sovereigns, I guess. And then the adventure that we recently had was very, well, the adventure that we currently have is very lackluster. I feel like Season 7 is going to be one of those updates that we look back on in the future and be like, this was a really good update. But as it stands now, this is I feel like this update is very poor. I'd put it C tier. Yeah, I'd put it C tier. Just because it builds on that core mechanic, but isn't anything special, in my opinion. And yeah, that's my tier list for all the content updates. Let me know what you think. If you agree with any or disagree, let me know in the comments. I kind of looked at it again. I looked at it from a kind of what did this bring to the table. I don't really care about the cosmetics that they added. I'd care more about the accommodations and like kind of anything that entices more gameplay rather than spending money. But yeah, I think this is pretty solid. Again, obviously I know that the main game being dropped isn't an update, but I was going to use that as obviously a palette. Just wanted to reinforce that. I do know that it isn't an update, so yeah, let me know what you think, and catch you in the next one.